I need y'all's help. Was my house haunted or not? If you're wanting to know what I'm talking about, then keep on watching. Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, I know. I'm so excited to be back. I've wanted to come back for a while now, and there's just been a lot of things going on, happening, all of that, and I've been trying to get back in the groove of things, but I think I'm finally gonna be back. But yeah, you did hear that right. When I lived in that house, I didn't know that it was haunted or think it was haunted or any of that stuff. I mainly started wondering and putting two and two together and everything when I actually got pregnant with Riley. As most of you know, I had a lot of miscarriages, and with Riley, everything was going perfectly. But before I get into it, let me backtrack a little bit so that y'all can kind of figure out the timeline of things. So me and Matt got married and moved to a little starter home. And after being married for a little bit, we ended up getting pregnant and having Benjamin. Benjamin was about 2 months old. We had a little incident happen. The neighbor kept parking in our yard, ditch, whatever situation. Matt basically went over there to talk to them and just say like, hey, you know, you're in front of our gate. Can you not park there? Basically, Matt got threatened. Matt was like, we are moving. We need to get out of here right now. I don't want to be here. That I don't feel safe. So we put the house on the market. It sold within 24 hours. So we were panicked to find another house. We had to move. Like, our house sold super fast. We needed to find a house, and the house that we moved to was like one of 5, 6 houses, it seemed like. It was basically the best upkept, like we fell in love with it because it was so nice type of house. It was built in 1894, so an old house. Tall ceilings, hardwood floors throughout. It was an old house. I think it used to be connected to the neighbor's house back in the day, and I think it was a plantation house. I don't really remember. I think that's what our neighbor said. But it was an old house, and we just ended up hating it. That brings me to the whole reason why I'm making this video. So over the span of us living there, I guess little things kind of happened here and there, and at the time didn't really mean anything. At the time we're just like, oh, that was weird, or oh my gosh, I wonder why that happened, or wow, that was scary. Yeah, when we were going to buy it, they seemed to be not really wanting to accept our offer. Finally, they end up asking us if we go to church or if we're religious or something along those lines, and we were kind of like, yeah, like we go to church, like why do you need to know that? And as soon as we said yes, they were like, okay, we accept your offer, you know, we're good to go. And we were like, okay, that was weird, but yay, we got the house, you know, so excited. But again, don't really think anything of it. Benjamin was 3 months old when we moved in, so he was pretty young. I just remember having to go feed him in the middle of the night and just being like super like, oh my gosh, like what if I see something, you know, not feeling really comfortable and everything. But at the time I was just like, oh, we're in a new place. I don't know this place that much. It's, you know, no big deal. Like, I'm crazy. Just feed Benjamin and then go back to bed. So really didn't think anything of it. And then I think probably like about a month later, he started sleeping through the night, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And the house never really seemed cozy and warm, but again, we were moving from a smaller house to a bigger house, and so we didn't have furniture for every room right away and all of that stuff. So I was just like, oh, well, we just maybe need a rug. That'll cozy up the space. It's just cold because there's literally hardwood floors and tile everywhere, except for the master bedroom. That was the only room in the house that had carpet. So we just needed some rugs or something to make it feel warm and not as cold. And then I feel like the first thing that ever happened was a ceiling fan falling from the ceiling. That was actually pretty scary. My brother and sister-in-law came over with their little boy, and Benjamin and Jackson were playing. Or I think at this point it was like lunchtime, and we fixed them lunch. They ate all that stuff, and we went into the kitchen to like clean up our plates, put them in the sink, and we went back in the living room, sat down, and started playing. And we hear this loud crash. My brother-in-law and Matt were actually gone. They were fishing that day. That was why they were over. So like we were kind of having like a mommy play date thing. We hear this loud noise, and we go in the kitchen, and literally right where we were standing just like minutes before, there was a ceiling fan with broken glass all over the floor. I was super freaked out. It was pretty scary. So I ended up having to have my parents come over because we couldn't get a hold of the guys because they were fishing. So my parents came over because I didn't know, like, do we need to turn the power off? Like, what do we need to do? Obviously, we need to clean up the glass, but is this okay? Like, there's just wires hanging out of the ceiling now. Like, I didn't know what exactly to do. Well, during all of that, I ended up turning on the foyer switch, which was on the opposite end of the house. And I don't remember why I turned it on. And I start to smell this burning smell, like the house was about to catch on fire or something. But this was the other end of the house, and I'm thinking, oh, well, when the ceiling fan fell out, maybe it pulled some wires or something, and it pulled it apart. There's a loose connection, whatever. So I turned it off, and I'm like, okay, Matt will have to go in the attic and figure out, what that's all about. So he ends up going up in the attic when he gets back home to like check and make sure that connections are all good and everything, and that the house is not going to catch on fire. And it literally looked normal. Like, there was no problems, no nothing. And we couldn't figure out why it smelled like the house was about to catch on fire. We didn't really know what that was all about. But the rest of the time that we lived there, every time you would turn the switch on, it would smell like something was burning. Matt went up in the attic multiple times, and he even took the cover off the wall and like tried to pull the wires down to make sure that it was all connected correctly and everything. So that was one weird thing, and we're like, I don't know, I guess we just won't use that or whatever. So we just never really used the light switch in the foyer. Never. Somebody turned it on, we would just automatically turn it off. And fast forward a little bit, when we got the house inspected, when we were moving, the guy said everything was great, and actually the burning smell or whatever disappeared around that time. We would come home from a showing and the light would be on because they forgot to turn it off, and it was fine. The burning smell just disappeared. I don't know what exactly happened. Another thing that happened when Benjamin started sleeping in I guess it was like kind of, different times, but when he was probably around Riley's age, which Riley is 8 months old, Benjamin started not wanting to really go to sleep. He would like cry and cry and cry. We figured out, hey, he apparently needs a nightlight, gave him a nightlight, and he never really had a problem then. But as he got older and was actually in like a bigger bed, like mattress on the floor type of thing, he would, for like a week only, just a week, he would like not want to go to bed. Like, he would start screaming and crying, saying, no, I don't want to go to bed. I don't want to go to bed. And he wouldn't go to bed unless we went in there and we had to like lay with him. But again, we just thought, oh, he's getting older, his imagination, everything like that. So didn't really know what that was about. That was another thing that was, looking back, I'm kind of like, oh. So another thing that, and this one I really honestly didn't think anything of it until, like I said at the beginning of the video, when I got pregnant with Riley. As most of you know, I've had a lot of miscarriages and I've struggled with infertility. I had 5 miscarriages while living in that house. And looking back now, it seems strange to me that my pregnancies would never go past a certain point. And it seemed like every time I would lose a baby, it was always around the same time. And I thought, which I still do have infertility. I mean, it did take us a while, to get pregnant and everything with Riley. But it's weird to me that every single time I had a miscarriage, it was around the same time. The first one was traumatic. And then after that, it was just this, all my tests and everything come back normal. And it just, I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe the house was causing all these problems, because when I got pregnant with Riley, my doctor kept saying, your pregnancy is perfect, it's amazing, you don't even really need to be coming in so much, but you're considered high risk because of your past. How do you go from so many miscarriages to being and having a perfect pregnancy? I mean, that's really what made me start thinking about all of this stuff and like putting 2 and 2 together and wondering, was our last house haunted? Because lots of things happened, and when you put it all down on paper, it's like, whoa. Yeah, so moving on. The next thing, and actually the next 2 things kind of happened around the same time. After these things, that's kind of when me and Matt started talking about, oh, we should really move out to our property and start living out here and sell the house and everything. But basically, the first thing that happened, or I don't even know which one happened first, but they happened around the same time. Me and Matt watched a movie, and we've watched scary movies and murder movies and all these things before, and we were watching Pain and Gain, or Pain or Gain. I don't really remember what the movie is, but it's basically about some type of murder, but these people, it's based on a true story, but it seemed like they didn't know what they were doing or whatever. I don't know. But we watched this movie. I was fine, I've seen movies like this before. No big deal. But I went to sleep, had a dream. But I've never ever had a dream so real. I literally woke up and thought that the cops were going to come find me, because in my dream, me and my sister basically murdered somebody. And it was so real, and I had such a panic that I had to call my sister and make sure that I didn't actually do something, which obviously I didn't. Why would I do that? And my sister was up in college and I'm down here, and like, it's impossible. But the fact that it was so real and I had such feelings, and yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that movie since. And I know that it's not the movie itself. It probably was the house, because I've never ever had such a real dream like that, ever. And I haven't had a dream like that or anything since we've moved out of there. So I feel like the house was doing something. At one point, Matt started reading into the Bible more and wanting to learn more about the Bible. We were sleeping in bed, and around, I want to say it was like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, me and him both woke up, and we were just taking turns screaming at the ceiling because spiders, or what looked like spiders, were crawling out of the ceiling fan and just covering our whole ceiling. I don't know if he screamed first or I screamed first or what exactly happened, but we were both seeing the same thing. We were both scared. Like, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I was like almost hyperventilating. It was scary. I never ever want to feel like that ever again. I don't even know how long it was. I think there was 3 screams total. I don't know who screamed first, but it was like one scream, and then that other person screamed again, and then it was gone. And then we laid there and we're like, I hope Benjamin doesn't wake up. And then we were like, did you see what I saw? And we each saw the same thing. And yeah, it was pretty scary. I think Matt quit reading the Bible for a little bit at that point, and that really didn't happen anymore, which, you know, that's probably what the devil wants you to do. One of the last things that I want to say is I went over to the neighbor's house for her grandson's birthday party. It was like in the yard next to our house. And it was around the same time that Benjamin was having trouble going to sleep. Like I said, he didn't want to be in his room by himself. I was mentioning it to her, and she tells me that when her son was little, he would always talk about the shadow man next door. Again, little kids, you're like, oh, you know, imagination. Don't really think anything of it. But now looking back, I'm like, the shadow man. What? I mean, what exactly is going on with this house? And yeah, I don't know. What do y'all guys think? Do you think that our last house was haunted? And I'm just now figuring it out. What, we've been here 2 years now, so we haven't been in that house in a while, obviously. But yeah, do you think it was haunted, or am I just crazy? I mean, have you ever been somewhere where a ceiling fan just falls out of your ceiling? That's crazy. I don't know, not really sure, but I kind of feel like maybe it was haunted. But I hope that you enjoyed listening to my crazy stories and a little bit about our last house. If you didn't enjoy this, make sure that you give this a thumbs up and that you subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.